Let's go to Gqeberha. This is where the High Court is expected to make a ruling on the NPA's request for clarification in the acquittal of Nigerian televangelist Timothy Omotoso. Newzroom Afrika Sipa Kema is there and joins us now with an update. Sipa, good morning again. What's the latest?
Well, Iman, that was quite a swift appearance at the Gqeberha High Court where Judge Kamana handed down the ruling saying the NPA is not entitled to clarification. Now, I've got to the NPA's Mthunzi Mhaga for reactions on that. I mean, I think this was expected, Mthunzi, by the NPA, that it will not go in your favor. However, the NPA is adamant that you will continue on to make the formal appeal.
Indeed, Sipa, we expected that she will not rule in our favor, given with respect, the misinterpretation of the case law that we relied on. Because in terms of that case law, in order for us to properly draft the questions of law for the appeal, we needed to identify factual findings that informed the decision to acquit the accused. She was then saying, wrongly with respect, that we should appeal first and then seek clarification later. In the judgment that I've just read, that was delivered or handed down a few minutes ago, she says that because she has already pronounced on the matter, she can't correct, supplement, or alter the judgment. That was never our request. Our request was clarify factual findings so that we can proceed to finalize the drafting of the questions of law. So we will now proceed before the end of this week to request her to reserve those questions of law for consideration by the SCA, and if necessary, we'll also prepare a condonation application because we believe that we've got grounds upon which such condonation can be granted, and then if even there she dismisses our application, we'll petition the Supreme Court of Appeal.
And I mean, some would say that with the factual findings that you're requesting, of course, you're not seeing the evidence that was laid over the 8 years. But some would say that would that evidence not have been tainted then because of the misconduct that she alleges in her judgment in April?
When you are going through a judgment, you arrive at your decision based on a proper, thorough evaluation and assessment of each witness that presented evidence that implicates the accused. With respect, we are taking a firm view that that was not sufficiently done in this case. Hence, when you go through the judgment, the majority of it's adverse findings on the ineptitude of the prosecutors. It is the so-called unethical conduct on the part of the prosecutors. But if you look at the judgment, was there a proper evaluation of the evidence of each state witness? That was not sufficiently done. That's why it's not glaring, or we're not certain where are the factual findings that inform the decision to acquit the accused persons. That's what we sought. In the judgment, the Honorable Judge says she cannot alter, she cannot correct, she cannot supplement the judgment. That was never our request.
Thank you so much, Mthunzi Mhaga there, Iman, of course, giving us clarity on that judgment that was handed down, but also, being specific on what their request was, as we heard last week, Monday, in court, where Advocate Peter Doberman, who represents Timothy Omotoso, saying that the judgment that was handed down on the 2nd of April was final and shouldn't be revised. But the NPA's senior counsel representative, Bodlani, said, no, we are not requesting for the judge to supplement her ruling, or rather even alter her ruling. What we're asking are the factual findings that actually led her to this decision, and not just the findings on the issues to do with the misconduct, the alleged misconduct of the prosecutors, but the actual evidence itself, because they claimed that they could not find any of the points referring to the evidence that was led over the years of all the witnesses that came before the Gqeberha High Court to testify against Timothy Omotoso and his two co-accused. As you heard, Iman, from advocate Mthunzi Mhaga saying that this is not the end of the road for them, even though this verdict did not go in their favor. They will continue to actually appeal, and thereafter speaking to her and trying to get those clarifications of factual law from her, they will then move on to the Supreme Court of Appeal.